Hello everyone, welcome to an all-new episode of The Final Cut. It's been a while since I had one of these videos, and I did a review of Gremlins, and a lot of people recommended that I go over Critters from 1986. Well, since Critters Attacks is out now, I figured this would be a perfect time. Critters from 1986 was after the Gremlins, and yeah, there's a lot of knockoff films. You had Ghoulies, Hobgoblins, and Critters. But on the contrary, Critters was actually going to be developed before Gremlins. The idea and script were already done before Gremlins was ever released. So even though this was promoted as the follow-up, or should I say answer to the Gremlins, this was made and thought of long before Gremlins. This was directed by Stephen Herek. Yes, first-time director. He ended up directing Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, The Mighty Ducks, The Three Musketeers, Mr. Holland's Opus, The 101 Dalmatians, and he also attended the University of Texas at Austin, which is my alma mater. So that's pretty cool. You have Stephen Herek, Richard Linklater, Robert Rodriguez, and then you had like Dan Rather, Walter Cronkite, Eli Wallach graduate there. So yeah, hook 'em. Anyway, Stephen Herek actually makes kind of a family fun horror film. This isn't like the best horror film. It's not the best film. It's very much a B movie, but it knows what it is and has fun with it. The best way to describe this, it's a PG-13 film, but the best way to describe this is that it's a family film with moments of comedy, but really it's more of a science fiction horror film. And it has a great cast. No, it doesn't have Leo DiCaprio. He wasn't in it till Critters 3. But it does have the guy from the Orville. Scott Grimes plays Brad Brown. You have his father, Billy Green Bush, as Jay Brown. His mother's Dee Wallace. Helen Brown, you may recognize her from E.T. There's a cool nod with E.T. in this film as well. M. Emmett Walsh is Harv. And then you have Nadine Van der Velde as April Brown, Brad's sister. We also have an appearance from Billy Zane, a very early role right after Back to the Future. So yeah, what's up with people from Titanic starring in Critters films? Voice actor Corey Burton, who voices the Critters, also based the language of the Critters as a mixture of Japanese and French. And then we also have the designer, Charles Chiodo, based the design of the Krites on the Looney Tunes character of the Tasmanian Devil. So that's pretty cool. But we have the family of the Browns, and this is in a small town in America. The beginning is very much science fiction. We find out that these creatures called the Krites escaped this prison. So we have these alien beings, two bounty hunters, basically mold themselves and take the form of two humans to hunt down these so-called Krites. And I like the design of that. It's fascinating that they based it off the Tasmanian Devil because they definitely look like that. But what helps this film and what kind of gives it that 80s charm, you know, it's not your conventional horror film, but what makes it have that 80s charm is practical effects. I love the practical effects used on the Krites. And this is the only Critters film where you actually have a Krite that actually grows to human size. And that is pretty terrifying. There are moments of terror. I love the way Stephen Herek directs this. You know, the beginning is a bit of a slow burn. You actually get to know the characters. You get to know the Browns. And they're a simple family, you know. There's moments of comedy with the bounty hunters in this film and the law enforcement. You have M. Emmett Walsh there. And I really like the vibe of this movie, you know. And again, the mother is the same mom from E.T., so I like that. You get to see Brad's sister with her boyfriend, Billy Zane. There's some crazy moments there as well. And it really starts to pick up when the Krites arrive on Earth. When that happens, the movie goes into overdrive. And it's very different from Gremlins. I like Gremlins just a little bit better, but this is a special film, you know. It does have moments of terror the way it's shot. It's very frantic. You have moments of perspective from the Krites. You have different type of deaths. And the body count is a little low. It's only a couple of deaths and mostly some chickens. So it's not too crazy. This is a PG-13 horror film, but it definitely has that suspenseful, thrilling vibe that I think really helps the film with its age. And this is one of the few horror franchises, or should I say series, from the 80s of this type of caliber where the sequels actually hold up just as well as the original. You know, this isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea, but if you love the Gremlins, you're familiar with Hobgoblins, Ghoulies, you like kind of more family-oriented horror films, kind of B movies from the 80s, you're definitely going to enjoy this. It does have that charm. and I like it, you know. Very few movies now get to spend time with the family, have some funny comedic moments. I love the dad in this. There's some funny moments when the sister brings her boyfriend over for dinner. There's some funny moments there that are very much relatable. And you do feel terror when the Krites arrive. There are stakes. There's some great action set pieces here that are mixed with comedy, and I do respect it for that. I really love what they do with this film. If I had to give Critters a score, I give it a 3 out of 5 and a B. It's not the best movie ever, but it is a very well done horror film. And Stephen Herek shows his directing skills here way before he did the Mighty Ducks, Bill and Ted, Mr. Holland's Opus, or even the Three Musketeers. He's a fantastic director. He definitely brings his own vision to this. The characters are there. So now that we learn about the characters, we feel for them when they're put in dangerous situations. I do like all the different things with the Krites. There's some funny humor. Again, that E.T. scene is just priceless. And ultimately, it does have a teaser for future installments, as always, you know. So if you want to show your kids kind of like a cheesy 80s film that's PG-13, not too violent, but something in the vein of Gremlins, I highly recommend Critters and its sequels. I haven't checked out Critters Attacks yet, but I'm anxious to see what it is like. I like this original film. I like all the Critters films. The first Critters I saw was Critters 3, thanks to Leo DiCaprio. That was on video. And I think the second one came out in theaters. This is done by New Line Cinema. We have Lynn Shay, sister of Robert Shay, in a role here, so it definitely has that New Line Cinema vibe that the early Nightmare on Elm Street films had. Back when New Line was kind of like an up-and-coming studio before they got into too many big-budget films. This is definitely after the success of the Elm Street films. Anyway, it does make the final cut. Those are my thoughts. Feel free to let me know down below. Have you seen Critters? If so, what did you think about Critters? Down below. If you haven't, check it out. It's worth a watch. You can follow me on the Stardust app at Fred Film Fanatic and check out these other Final Cut videos and subscribe to my channel for more content. Till next time.